Good things come in fours, like ukulele strings, boy band members, and PayPal Pay in 4. No fees, no interest, no impact on your credit score. Just the flexibility to pay the way that works for you. Strum it, hum it, pay it in 4. Download the PayPal app to get started. Subject to approval. Learn more at paypal.com/payin4. PayPal Inc. NMLS 910457.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me. Taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
I am now about to speak to one of the number one people in the entire world when it comes to music. He's the record executive. He's Clive Davis. If you don't know who he is, then you've been under a dead fossil for 600 years. Tell me, what does a record executive do?
Cindy, a record executive, beginning with the signing or the appraisal or the audition of an artist. And then if the artist is enrolled in the label, everything. Interfaces with the artist, goes over the material, appraisal, of writing, assuming the artist writes, or material being submitted. So you name it, and a good record executive does it all.
But Clive, you're the number one in the whole effing world. Did you ever screw up anything?
Well, Cindy Adams' question. I can't think of anything I screwed up, Cindy. I really can't. Play a more meaningful role in some cases than others, but I can't think of anything I screwed up now.
Where are all the Grammys? You've got them for going back centuries. Where do you have all your Grammys?
I have my Grammys in my home in Worcester.
Do you remember? This is a dumb question, but it's because I'm dumb and you are who you are. Can you remember your early days with Whitney Houston? The story with Whitney Houston is so enormous. Can you tell us when it began?
Sure. I auditioned Whitney in 1983. She was seeking backgrounds for her mother at Sweetwater's, a club in New York. And I couldn't believe that the first song she was to sing was The Greatest Love of All. I had commissioned that song, which Whitney did not know, for the movie based on the life of Muhammad Ali 8 years earlier. I had the record with George Benson. But when I heard Whitney do it, it was like I never heard this song before. She found meaning that perhaps the composers never knew were there when they wrote it. It was an amazing experience.
And so what did you do? What does somebody like you do to someone who is just sort of starting out as a Whitney Houston?
What I did was that I agreed to sign her with a clause that I never gave to an artist before or since. It's called the key man clause, that she could leave the company if I left. I had to get the corporate parent to approve it, but the intensity of my commitment to Whitney made me honor her demand there. And then for 2 years, we performed for writers in New York, in LA, showcasing her voice in order to attract the best material being written outside of the artist writing, which this artist did not write. So for 2 years, I gathered the material that made up the first album.
But were you not, I mean, these are stupid questions because you are who you are and we all know who you are. But were you never nervous with having something as magnificent and star-dusted as Whitney Houston, what you made her into?
A few things here. I would not use the word nervous. I had a standard of expectation for the quality of the material that would make up the first album. And so therefore, yes, I was very conscious that I was making a very special first album. So it took 2 years to come up with the material that comprised the first album for Whitney, and set her on the road for 7 consecutive number one records, then an all-time record. So there was no doubt. I treated it especially carefully, with a high standard of expectation.
I understand that, and we've seen your documentaries, and we've seen the stories about you, and we've seen the movies about you. We know all of that, but those of us are simple mortals. We would get scared in the pit of our stomach if we were handling something that grew as large as that. There was never a time that you got a little nervous, or she wanted to go elsewhere, or you had an argument. I mean, this is Whitney Houston that you created.
We never had an argument. We proceeded carefully, correctly. It became one of the best-selling albums of all time, selling 23 million worldwide. So no, there was never an argument. She and I were on the same wavelength from day one.
Okay, what does a record executive do? You pick the music, you pick the words, you pick the flavor, you pick everything. I don't know what a record executive does. I can't even sing. So tell me, what does he do?
Well, first of all, you don't pick. You can collaborate.
Oh, okay.
So that you listen together to the material and narrow down the choices of material on that first album. You don't become a Svengali. Whitney felt the material, had input, and we collaborated wonderfully well. Incredibly uniquely, considering our different backgrounds. But we collaborated beautifully. There was never an argument. And Cindy, it worked.
How has the business changed over the years? I mean, it has. The people have, the names have, the quality of music has. Simple people like me don't understand the music that is being played. What has changed it over the years?
Well, clearly, the idea of Spotify and the music has changed over the years. It is very different now, and it's leading to a domination of hip-hop over all other genres of music. Social media plays a much stronger part, changing the business. So if you don't have a good social media resume, you're not likely to get signed. To me, too much reliance on social media. But the business has changed meaningfully.
I'm not sure I understand how the media affects the quality of music that we're getting today. Or doesn't it? I thought the music was affected.
I don't know if it's affecting the quality, but it is affecting the extent of the domination of hip-hop.
Okay, then, so I used a different word. Okay. Explain how. I don't understand.
If you don't have a few million followers on social media, you might not get signed by a label. Because they do look to social media. And without it, it would affect the kind of material that the artist is either writing or recording. So it's a very different business today. Changed. I can't say the quality so far is less, because my pre-Grammy Gala was showcasing Olivia Dean and Alex Warren and Darren Criss, and certainly we had a fabulous pre-Grammy Gala, and the new artists were great. Clips. So we just have to observe cautiously.
So observing cautiously to someone like me who doesn't understand, what does that mean? That you would write lyrics or pick songs that go with our lifestyles today? Is that what you would mean?
I'm saying what is occurring is that artists are being signed more because of social media than the years of the A&R person.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. But of course that's the
case. We have to have dinner to discuss this in a more reasoned way, my dear Cindy. My neighbor Cindy. My good friend Cindy.
My dumbass friend Cindy, because I don't know anything, and I've never talked about music. I just either put it on or I ignore it. But you're such a genius. I figured you will be patient with me and answer some of my stupid questions. What music do you listen to now?
What, say that again?
What music do you listen to now?
I listen to new music. I keep very current. I don't want to go over the hill. So I'm very adaptable. I make sure I listen and observe all the important chart records and artists. I choose among them for my pre-Grammy Gala. I'm very active and busy.
Well, who today, if they get wealthy and they get rich and they are on all of these social media situations, do they end up maybe having more control, or will you still, a person like you, still have the maximum control?
I don't know if the word control, you're talking about someone else's career. Does the record label executive play a role? Yes. Collaborative, yes. Less so if the artist writes his or her own material, because then you're dealing with that artist's material totally. So it will vary from artist to artist. but I would not use the word control. No. I never felt that I controlled either Alicia or Whitney or Barry, but I collaborated with them.
Well, that's a higher class word. Collaborated. It's a higher class word. I'll have to hang out the window more carefully and shout up at you. Tell me about Mariah Carey and Aretha Franklin and some of your others. How you found them and what did you do for them? How does it work?
I never worked with Mariah Carey. I worked with Whitney. I worked with Aretha. It varies from artist to artist. I work with Alicia Keys. It's a more active collaboration if the artist does not write and you're collaborating with a choice of material as compared to Alicia, who writes every song that she sings.
So if these people were starting today and the quality of music is different today, would they become stars or would you have to redo the way you handled them?
That's a very good question, Cindy. Aretha, Whitney, they were one of a kind. You would never do it differently. There were no artists like them. They, with Barbra Streisand, are the two greatest singers of all time. They transcend timelessness. So I would still look for, with them, the best material being written and collaborate to come up with the best material that could break through.
If some of them, like, say, for instance, you have had so many of the major names. I'm just picking one out of the blue. If a Whitney Houston were starting today, would she become a star?
The answer is yes. That's an all-time star. You couldn't. If I were working with her together, I think that combination would work today as well as it did when we worked together.
Okay. What do you listen to now if you ever turn on your radio? If you ever still have a radio. But what music do you listen to now?
I still listen to the best of the new music to keep current. If I'm still working, I still go into Sony every week. So I don't want to go over the hill. I want to be aware. I want to be current. And I still listen 99%. Still saving that 1% for an occasional listen to Simon and Garfunkel and Barbra Streisand.
Well, if you were kind enough to open your window so I could hear what you were listening to, I would be very grateful, since I have heard from you from your building next door, and I have seen you at the next table at a restaurant we were both in, and I have loved you for the Stone Age, even though I'm too dumb to know how it is you do your job. But you are a one of a kind in this world, Clive Davis. And
Very sweet. Thank you so much. Coming from you makes your words very special.
And thank you. Thank you for coming on. Will you have dinner with me?
Of course.
Will you pay?
Of course.
Will you pay?
Okay, there you go. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I love you. Thank you for coming on, honey. Bye.
Bye.
The right window treatments change everything: your sleep, your privacy, the way every room looks and feels. At Blinds.com, we've spent 30 years making it surprisingly simple to get exactly what your home needs. We've covered over 25 million windows and have 50,000 five-star reviews to prove we deliver. Whether you DIY it or want a pro to handle everything from measure to install, we have you covered. Real design professionals, free samples, zero pressure. Right now, get up to 50% off with minimum purchase, plus get a free professional measure at Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions apply.